getting hit multiple times coming out of that bike section. More drivers coming to blows.
Is the brake on your new pedal set not meeting your expectations? If so, let D-Nut Stuff transform your braking experience. D-Nut Stuff has brake mods for Thrustmaster TLCMs, Husingveld Sprints, Mosa SRPs, Fanatec CSL Elite V1 and V2s, SimJack Pros, and UT sets. We are always working on adding new pedal sets and more, so check back often. Does your feet hurt after a session of sim racing? Are you tired of the distraction from sore heels? If so, D-Nut Stuff has the solution for you. Our heel pads add support and comfort for your feet, so those long races are no longer painful. We can make a heel pad for pretty much any pedal set and even add your custom logo. So get one today. You won't regret it.
Greetings, race fans, and buckle up for the American Racing Series on Slow Motion Broadcasting. JR Gregory here with you all on the call alongside Andre Grandbouche and tonight's producer Joshua Wilkie. And this week brings us back to week 5 of the regular schedule and the Homestead Configuration A, a road course located in the infield of the Homestead Oval. This facility broke ground in 1993 after some political storms and some actual hurricanes in southern Florida. The first racing was NASCAR's Goodies Dash back in 1995, and this infield configuration that you're seeing tonight was part of the project from the beginning. Our layout tonight is 2.2 miles in length and 15 corners, and the record for this configuration goes back to 1998. You gotta go find a LM GT1, the old GT1 category Mercedes CLK set the record on this config in 1998, 116.495. So, Andre, in my world anyway, as mainly a sports car driver, this track is a little bit of an outlier in the iRacing service. I don't think it gets a lot of love out here, and it may be seat time in preparation for this week's event that separates the wheat from the chaff in this one. So, what are you looking for out of these Mustangs and out of their drivers tonight?
I'm going to look for some drivers to finish where they don't normally finish. I think we're going to see some drivers that are usually a little bit further back, maybe running up towards the front, and then we're probably going to see some drivers that run well that may not have the speed tonight simply because, like you said, JR, this is not a track that the road racing guys are going to be too familiar with. Even the NASCAR guys probably wouldn't be very familiar with it because, I've talked to some people that don't even know there is a road configuration here. It was, I think, featured as a fantasy track in one of the old NASCAR games with a slightly different layout. But it's going to be tough for these guys. This is the second or third time we've come to a track this season that these guys maybe aren't too familiar with, and it's definitely kind of turned things on its head a time or two. It's going to be fun. But this track is just, it's so unique, going back through the history of it, everything you mentioned in the intro there. But a lot of people don't know it also used to be square and it used to be flat, like a tiny Indianapolis. And then it was a flat oval, and now it's a high banked oval, with this road course being the only thing that has remained the same since its inception. As you said, it had been there pretty much since the beginning, and they just kind of worked it into the new configuration. So, fun track, but I think some of these drivers might disagree by the end of it.
Yeah, and I did read the history of the kind of repeated reconfigurations of the oval, and it certainly was interesting, and it involved a lot of broken cars and broken bones actually from these drivers getting out here and discovering the hard way that the oval configuration needed some tweaks. But yeah, I was much in the same boat like Homestead A. Where the hell is that? Oh, it's in Florida. Okay, I'm well on my way to mastery of Homestead history there. But it is a pretty interesting track, and we'll get the track map up for you a little bit later. But it's just kind of it's a series of out and backs, Andre. I mean, run the car all the way through the gears, get on the binders for a slow kind of hairpin looking corner, and then do the same thing. And that goes back and forth like 4 times. So I think it is going to invite some dives at the end of some of these longer sections. A couple chicanes thrown in there as well for good measure. And I think this could be a track that really challenges these drivers in terms of tire wear, and also challenges their patience powering out of some of these slow corners.
Yeah, you really got to focus at this place because it also kind of changes in track width. Like this infield section, very narrow, not a lot of runoff anywhere, a little bit of grass, and then pretty much immediate tire barriers. Then you get out to the oval straightaways, and you can go 12 wide if you want to. So it's going to be interesting. I think the draft probably will come into effect. We've got 3 very long straightaways here. The oval straightaways in particular, they're going to get pretty much up to the limiter by the end of it as we go on board with Mr. Ballant. And you can see just how long of a straightaway this is. I believe we're looking at the backstretch, which is going to be the shorter of the 2. All the way down, dives down into the infield once again. We're kind of avoiding those banked oval corners, which I'm sure these drivers are thankful for. Last time we hit the high banks of an oval, things didn't go too well. But, we figured it out in the end. And there you see, just getting back out onto the oval. It's going to be a bit of a slipstream track, and big bump there. Got to watch that. That can actually damage the car, JR.
Yeah, that is a nasty looking transition there between the infield and what you would think is pretty light banking there on the straightaway, and a little reminiscent of the old Charlotte Roval when getting out of the infield and onto that banking involved a pretty big jolt, and very tough to keep the car underneath you when making that transition. And you saw it right there. That is going to be a rough one. And for a longer race, these drivers going to have their work cut out for them. But right now, look at your qualifying. We've got about 3 minutes remaining in our 10-minute qualifying session. We have got Neil Kemp from Ron Wolf, 1, 2, and 3. That is your podium in the Pro Class. The Challenger class, Mark Cohn leads Hosey from Matt Thompson as your podium. And the ever-present Joe Sacchetti is in P1 in the AM class, followed by Andy Bell and Andy Kosick. And you can see some pretty large gaps between those drivers on our timing tower. And I think I just heard a whisper in my ear about season points, so we may go ahead and get those up for you as our qualifying session winds down. All right, and there are your pro standings, and slowly but surely, Malone has pushed his way up the standings. We saw him in P5, saw him in P4, P3, P2, and finally, through his consistency, not sure he has gotten a victory yet in this series, but he's certainly been consistent, hanging around the podium, and sometimes consistency in a league environment like this is all it takes to climb to the top, and Malone has done that. It's Malone from Fench, from Bass, then Fernandez, then Jeff Schnackel to P5, then Barrio Suaro, Wolf, Parrish, and Labano, and that will get you to the top 10. I'll let you look at the rest of those on your own, and we'll jump over real quickly here as qualifying winds down and take a look at the challengers. It's Thompson from Cone, from Powell, then it's Gazenda, Weaver, Sancinelli, Hosea, Blair, Smith, and Brian Kennedy rounding out the top 10 in that class, and some pretty tight groupings up at the top of that one. And their Sacchetti, to nobody's surprise, has completely run away with the AMs. It's Sacchetti from Brooks, from Olsen, Bell, Eichmann will get you to the top 5. Then it's Cossack, Gwant, Besnard, Casey, and Brandon Carl. And there's still some room for some movement there. Quite a few weeks left. If you look at those cluster from, for example, 2 to 4 on that list, plenty of opportunities for these drivers to move. But qualifying winding down here, and Kemp hanging on to that pole position. He's only hanging on by about 11 hundredths currently. He's got Ballant sniffing around behind him, Ron Wolf, Bailing, and Parrish. Those top 5 cars separated in qualifying time by only 1700. So the pointy end of this field, I mentioned that seat time and preparation may have played a role in what we're going to see here tonight, and clearly those top 5 drivers in the pro class have put their time in and are here to party. You see those tight intervals up top.
Yeah, it kind of surprises me seeing them that close together. But we are also going to mention real quick, hearing it in our ear, and it was mentioned in the Discord, bit of an error as far as the session is concerned tonight. We have a little bit more fuel than intended, JR. So you might actually like to hear this news. Some drivers are going to try to do this on no stop. They're going to try to save enough fuel to make it to the end. That is what we've been told. So that's always fun. Kind of gives you something to keep an eye on throughout the race. But we do have our starting grid. Neil Kemp with his 14,000th pole of the season, going to be starting P1. Taylor Ballant is outside P2. Ron Wolf in 3rd. Andrew Bailing going to be P4. Kevin Parrish, the Lumberjack, in 5th. Super Dave Moore, P6. Mark Cohn, the Watchman, going to be the first among the challengers, P7, right next to David Fench. Jeff Schnackel going to be 9th place. Charlie Hosey going to be P10. And then running out 11 and 12 is going to be David Fernandez and Jay Bass.
All right, we'll give it a little scrolly there, and we'll find Dan Ott lined up next to Matt Thompson in row 7. Then it's Labano and Kennedy in 15 and 16. Gabaldon will line up next to Sacchetti, your pole sitter in AM class in 17 and 18. Then Gazenda next to Powell, Andy Bell. P2 and Challenger will be, or P2 and Amateur rather, next to Aaron Bray. And then Mike Nickham will line up next to Brandon Smith. And we are going to get this one underway. I'll let you run through the rest of that yourself. And pretty good start for everybody except Wolf. Wolf unable to get the power down there. Autumn already got smoked off the start by Bailing, perishes through, and David Moore. And we'll go
Oh,
back and show you that again, but Wolf unable to get off the line clean. You saw that little wiggle as that Mustang struggled to put that power down in first gear, and Wolf got first 2 or 3 corners and is already down 3. So all of the effort that Wolf put in to get a good qualifying position out the window.
Oh, no.
Plenty of time left. And things getting a little messy in the back. I think that might have been Andres maybe went there in the back, dropping some body panels, a little contact. And generally, I got to say, these starts, Andre, have been pretty clean the 4 previous rounds. So a little surprised to see a little bit of sloppy running there in the midfield and in the back of the pack, getting going here in turn lap 1.
Well, I think that's that kind of psychological effect of this track narrowing up the way that it does. They start on this big wide straightaway, they get down to the infield, and it's low speed, very tight corners, very narrow track, and you're going to get a bit of an accordion, and that's what we saw. We saw the fenders starting to fly as they got into one another. I don't think anybody was wrecked out, although Michael Brennan does receive a meatball, so he's going to have to come down pit road, get that car serviced if he can. But everybody else just trying to get sorted out single file, which I think is the kind of way they're going to want to run tonight. Again, that infield, very narrow, very tricky. We saw Taylor Ballant get one heck of a jump at the start of that race. He put the bumper to Neil Kemp, but he was unable to get that car disturbed and make the move, so he kind of fell back in line to P2. Now he's got a significant gap back to the leader, and then Kevin Parrish behind him, Andrew Bailing. Super Dave Moore moves up a couple positions from where he qualified, P5. Right there is your leader of the gap he has already built. Neil Kemp has been so fast, but had some unfortunate incidents, either via pit road or via the race start, if you remember the exhibition event from last week at Sonoma. See if he can have the speed and the luck tonight, JR.
Yeah, Kemp so far the only driver to really create a gap behind. If you look at our SDK timing tower over there, of course, anything that is not white among those intervals are less than a second. The amber is under 0.5, the yellow between 0.5 and 1 second. So our entire timing tower right now, a couple laps in, is painted from top to bottom in tight intervals, with the exception of Kemp, who, as you said, has dumped Neil Ballant to the tune of about a second and a half. And looks like Bailing has fallen off of Parrish a little bit here too. Bailing is one of the drivers who got a bit of a jump along with Parrish and Moore due to Ron Wolf's rough start. Jeff Schnackle up 2 as well. So not a lot of movement up front, but we do have some. And speaking of kerfuffles, here is one of those early incidents, and oh my gosh, and yeah, that was started by that red car at the beginning of that, going wide, coming back on, and causing the cars behind to check up. And man, you got to be ready in this kind of traffic for concertinas, Andre. They can sneak up on you so quickly, and as we see body panel shed in the Florida sun right there, and that actually did lead to a meatball. That double hit, I think we saw a front and a rear body panel come out of that Mustang, and that sent Brennan to the pits.
Yeah, that was kind of a double whammy there. Got him out of the event, unfortunately, so far. We'll have to see if he gets back out on track or if he calls it a day. Either way, he's still going to be on pit road for the moment. The single file train of cars just kind of trying to run out the clock, maybe a little bit of fuel saving. You do have some session information on the right side of the screen. Just a little bit of wind, 8 mile an hour, 60% chance of precipitation, although right now sky's looking pretty blue to me. I don't think we're going to be getting any of that, unless that's humidity, which may be partially cloudy, and of course 106 on the track now. I know we're in Florida, JR, but that is pretty warm, and I would imagine that's going to impact the handling pretty significant.
Yeah, not only is it warm, it is, you see the session time there, it is July 31st at 10:45 a.m. So that 105, and in a little while here, these drivers are going to be wishing for when it was only 105. Oh my God, there goes Sicchetti. And Sicchetti, who has been enjoying a dominant season, completely mistake-free, has Sicchetti been thus far. And that kind of contributing to his stranglehold on the P1 that we just showed you in the amateur class. And that car does not look good right now. He's going to go straight into the pits. After that, we'll have another look at that, see if Sacchetti has any help here. And, oof. I'm not really
Yeah, I'd
sure.
say he had a little help.
Yeah, that was kind of tight and kind of quick there. I couldn't tell what was going on. Here is another look. That is Sacchetti on the outside, and or is that Sacchetti in the 211?
No, it was
Oh,
Lobano to the
that's
outside.
Sacchetti in the 211. All right,
And this
all
is
right.
Sacchetti.
So, yeah, after seeing that overhead, I'm going to go ahead and put that 100% on that outside card turning into him, and Sacchetti getting his first bit of bad luck here. He has been running in P1 in the amateur class in every race by a significant margin. Sonoma, he finished with a minute between him and P2, and Sacchetti reign of terror is over thanks to some kind of dubious driving and getting completely punted right there and sent into the pits.
Yeah, and that was a weird one. Chuck Lobano is a very clean driver. He doesn't do that kind of thing generally. I think it was just a straight up lack of awareness. He maybe expected Sacchetti to kind of fall in line, hit the brakes, or maybe just go a little lower, but just a complete spatial awareness issue there. Dove down into him, no doubt about it. Dave Finch in that green and purple Mustang is coming down pit road. He got a meatball in and of itself. So, this is kind of weird, JR. I don't think I've ever seen so many black flags for damage for cars that they don't look meatball worthy to me. This seems kind of unusual. But Merle Eschman has one now. I mean, we've seen a lot of these tonight. This is odd.
I'm wondering, you mentioned that you can pick up damage coming out of the infield up onto the oval, and maybe we can get a still camera on that the next time traffic comes through there. But what I was noticing was that was a different line for every car that went through there, and some of them looked very, very brutal, and some of them, frankly, looked like they were capable of bottoming out the body, the front of the body on the track, and we could be seeing some cooling system damage that are causing these black flags. And so I want to take another look at that. It is very rough stuff getting back onto the track from the infield. This isn't the spot. It was the next time this happens, we'll take a look. But yeah, that may be causing some of those meatballs, and we'll try to find out what we can from the drivers during our interview opportunity after the race. But yeah, very rough stuff here, and I've actually been there as a GT3 driver. I have lost, I've broken an oil tank on a 911 hitting a curb, and I lost a motor from that. So doesn't happen very often, but iRacing does have those kinds of incidents in their bag of tricks, and we might be seeing it right here.
I would wager you're exactly right. I think that transition to the banking is what's doing it, because I know that on the NASCAR side of things, people have gotten damage from the transition at Phoenix Raceway, which is way less banking. I think that's about 7 degrees of banking. And when they get onto the straightaway here, if I recall, Homestead has, I think, 12 degrees on the straightaway. So they're going from flat to 12. That could easily bottom these cars out. They're, riding a little bit higher than a Cup car, but still pretty low. You can see those splitters are sealed to the track. The cooling system's obviously not super high up on the chassis. So that could be it as we ride on board with Kevin Parrish. Looking back now, he is... Oh, we do have a bit of a replay here. On board, looking forward with Kevin Parrish, making a bit of an overtake. That was an opportunistic dive, and that's exactly what JR and I were kind of expecting to see with these heavy braking zones. Some drivers kind of taking advantage, driving it in there. And what a battle this was. Again, still looking at the replay, but they stayed side by side through that complex all the way down this straightaway. You'd think Ballant's going to lose it there. Yes, he is, because he does not have the draft help. What a move that was. Kevin Parrish, he can never pass somebody on the bottom. He's always got to go around the outside, do it the hard way. And he is continuing that trend tonight. Now, this is going to be a really good show of that banking transition to come out of the infield section right there. Look at the sparks fly. That is probably the cause. You're exactly right.
Yeah, and as I said, we had a static shot of that a little earlier, and it really seemed like every car was taking a different angle, and some of the angles much harsher. Some of them heading straight uphill out of that infield, and that was just kind of a pretty significant front end hit on these Mustangs. And Yeah, we've got some pitters coming in as well, and they may be picking up. Uh, they may be getting messages from their crew that they have picked up damage that needs repair. Because as we said, this was a maybe not even a pit stop race, and here we are with 30 minutes remaining, and a number of cars have come into the pits, and that may be damage related. I'm showing almost 10 cars right now at the bottom of the list, including some of the front runners, Finch, Hosey, the Sentinelli down there. And yeah, Hosey may have had something a little bit more than a bump on the chin coming onto the bank. We'll see if we can find that for you.
Yeah, we will try to get that pulled up. There it is. That is a ton of damage as we cut back to the SMB replay. We'll take a little bit further back in time, hop in the DeLorean, and oh my goodness, just bucked him up in the air, got the front tires off the ground. I don't know if you knew that, JR, but you can't steer if your steer tires are not making contact with the ground. And what a shot that was, having to then correct it into the outside safer barrier. Something these drivers probably don't see a lot of, that safer barrier, but he got real intimate with it for a moment, and that is going to be pretty much race-ending damage. He can probably get it fixed up and get back out there, but it would only be to salvage a few points. So, these guys have been pushing that limit, JR, really hitting that banking transition hard, and, they want to arc it out. They want to get on the throttle. They want to let it arc out. If they try to stay too tight, they might not build up momentum down that very long straightaway, but it is a huge risk, I would say, for very little reward to hit it at that big of an angle trying to get out wide.
Yeah, too right. And my understanding is we do have open setups here. So as you were one of these drivers preparing for Homestead, knowing that transition, that brutal hit was on the menu, you might have wanted to work on your ride height a little bit, work on the stiffness and dampers up front. These Mustangs, kind of look like Grandma's Cadillac when they're going over some of these curbings, so they're not super stiff, but maybe stiffening up that front end as much as possible to avoid those impacts. But it sure looks like that that has had consequences. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 cars out of 32 have visited pit row for various reasons on a race where we were told they might not need to stop for fuel at all. So if they're not stopping for fuel, they're stopping for something else. And if it ain't gas, it's damage.
Yeah, so they've got a lot on their plates. A lot to think about: the damage, the fuel, everything else. Also, the fact that Neil Kemp is driving away by about a second and a few tenths there is probably also psychologically terrorizing these guys, as we are not used to big leads in AMS. We're used to battles for the lead, but Neil Kemp having a real good run at it. Kevin Parrish up 3 from where he qualified, but not quite there. And then even a little bit further back here in the pack, we got some pretty good battles. Andy Kosick battling it out with Mr. Dave Blair, I do believe. Dave Blair in a green car. That is not what I'm used to seeing, but there he is. Some more takers down pit road. Mike Darknut Neekum going to be getting that car serviced. Again, 13 minutes in. With the fuel being what it is, JR, it doesn't just open up the possibility of them going all the way. It also makes basically the entire race the open pit window. Because if you only need a splash, you get about 5-6 minutes into the race, that window opens. You can short stop, you can try to run a little bit longer if you want. I don't know if one strategy over the other is going to get much of an advantage. I would assume probably not. But it does give you a little bit of a choice. Maybe if you want to get out of the pack, get away from people, you can kind of hit whenever the mood suits you rather than wait for a very tight window.
Yeah, too right. And as a longtime road racer, I do love the undercut. If you don't qualify particularly well, have an issue, get in traffic that you don't like, super easy just to, kind of take a mulligan and reset that. And that could be part of what we're seeing out here as well. And I got to say, tip of the hat, Andre, to your rather Nostradamus-like introductory comments when you told our audience that this field was going to be jumbled before this one was over, and that is certainly happening. Looking at the bottom of the field, I got cars down 23, 22, and 21. Looking at the mid-pack, I got cars up 10, 10, and 11. So this field has definitely jumbled, and there's more of it going on right now. I just saw the timing tower light up. Not sure what happened, but looks like Wolf dropping down. That may be because he was going into the pits. But in any event, yeah, this field has been shaken up, shaken up in a coffee can and dumped out on the ground, and they're sorting it out now. But it certainly has been jumbled as you predicted.
Yeah, you just kind of see that when you come to these tracks that nobody really knows all that well. It really rewards the drivers that are a bit more adaptive, not necessarily muscle memory drivers, but more instinctual drivers. And I think we got a little bit of both in this field. Some drivers may race better off of muscle memory, some drivers might just be kind of a gut feeling. But those drivers that adapt quick, they're going to do well when we come places like this. And sometimes a track like this just completely throws everything out the window. Again, those transitions out to the straightaways, very tough. Not really anything you're going to see quite like that on a regular dedicated road course. So definitely something to think about. And another meatball flag, Chuck Labano, we're going to chalk that up as another victim to the banking. That is just, yeah, the car looks fine. It's probably, like you said, either cooling system damage or maybe dragging a track bar underneath that thing. I don't know. But either way, he's going to come down this very complicated pit road entry. That is something we've shown on board a couple times tonight. Haven't really said anything about it, but anytime you got to do a narrow chicane to even get to the pits, it's not exactly fun. Doing it with a broken car, that's even less fun.
And looking at Labano's car right there, that looks absolutely perfect. And the corners leading up to that pit entry, he was absolutely flogging the hell out of it. So, I don't know how he got that meatball. Maybe he had a busted mirror that the officials didn't like. But there is Labano stationary, getting whatever that was repaired, and stationary for some time now. He's already flown past the time that other drivers have spent picking up fuel. 20 seconds stationary so far. Fuel stops have looked to be about 10. So something mysterious and awful has happened to Chuck Labano out here in Florida.
Yeah, and I don't think he's going to be the last. I think with this race going the way it's going, 17 minutes in, we've had a lot of drivers have the exact same issue and plenty of time for it to continue. Meanwhile, Neil Kemp's lead is beginning to disintegrate as Kevin Parrish reels him in little by little. Now on the front straightaway and heading down towards the infield section. Parrish is going to get a little bit of slipstream from him, try to dive down, and I would say that's about an 0.8 of a second gap, but look at how much deeper he's going to drive it in. That was about 20 feet before he hit the brakes. And look at this through this section, just really hitting him through this tight infield section. Seems to be hitting the lines, driving in a little bit deeper. Then you got Taylor Ballant just out of frame there. You saw him for a second, kind of lurking in third place. Three very talented drivers up here. Again, still Mark Cohn leading the way in Challenger, Bell leading the way after Cicchetti's misfortune in Amateur. And just a reminder, sometimes commentators lie. I know we got Freddie Weaver's division incorrect for a couple weeks there, but paint schemes very rarely lie. And if you want to see what division a driver is in, look at the wing of their car. You'll see it is color-coded as well as the abbreviation on the side panels there. They got the window banner also kind of color-coded. So if you look at the car, you know what they're in. Blue for Challenger, green for Pro, red for Amateur. A little bit further back in the field, though, this is Andy Bell in that 218. Big gap over second place Tom Wendt. Currently trying to duke it out with some Challenger drivers, Daniel Gabaldon, Brian Kennedy.
Yeah, Bell trying to take advantage of a rare opportunity, not having Cicchetti driving off from him. And Bell definitely wants to cash in the right place at the right time, running comfortably in P13. That is a +8 for him, by the way. And the cars all around him. That is Bray behind him, up 8. Jeff Andrus is there as well, up 12. So a lot of drivers have really made hay out here while under the Florida sun. And taking a look at now at Brian Kennedy, he's leading a little train there of Gabaldon and Bell, and that is for P11. Quite a gap in front of Kennedy right now. So I'm sure Gabaldon and Bell would like to dispatch with Kennedy and keep it moving. It appears that yeah, and just getting word from the pits of Andrew Bailing that he has been lost to a connection, either equipment or internet related issues. So fans of Bailing that is why he is off track, and I think that he is done. But meanwhile, up front, there is Neil Kemp, and Kemp coming up on traffic with Parrish all over him. And this is the last thing that Kemp wanted to see right now. Parrish has got that gap down to about 3/10. And Ballant and Moore sniffing around back there as well. Even though Ballant has a 2+ second gap, looking at their times, Andre, Parrish, Ballant, and David Moore all have a faster fast lap than Neil Kemp right now, and are lapping faster than him. So Kemp's pace falling off here somewhat as he gets pressure from behind, and there is a friendly competitor there getting out of the way. But Kemp has got to be a little nervous. We're only at the halfway point right now, and Parrish has definitely reeled in what had been up to a 2-second lead earlier on that Kemp had built off the start.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's really unfortunate for Balin. He's been having a lot of really good runs tonight. And as for Neil Kemp's pace, I want to get back to that. JR, do you think that that could be tire wear? I mean, he fired off like a rocket. He built up a huge lead. Now he's struggling to maintain that lead. Kevin Parrish starting to breathe down his neck a little bit. And we saw on the stationary camera a few times, these drivers are really sliding around in these flat corners. I mean, 4-tire slides, big time. I could imagine these guys are starting to wear the tires down. This is an abrasive track. It is not one that's going to go easy on you, and it's going to wear all four because you got a lot of lefts, a lot of rights. It's not really biased one way or the other like some road courses. So it's definitely tough. And I mean, you can see those brake rotors glowing. I'll bet you this might be the most important tire wear race that we've had at any track.
Yeah, I think that is definitely a possibility. We have heavy braking zones. We have very slow corners that require powering out of them in first or second gear, and some twisties thrown in there as well. A little bit of time on the banking. So yeah, these tires absolutely being tortured out here. Over 40 minutes. No opportunities to change, so you do have to take care of them. And I would certainly accept as a hypothesis that Kemp may have been overdriving the car early, causing him to create that large gap behind and kind of run out of tire. And maybe Parrish, playing the tortoise here, has been more careful with his equipment and is now reaping the benefits of that. And there they are right now. Speak of the devil, there is Parrish and Kemp. And right now, if I was Parrish, 17 minutes remaining in this one, got Kemp down to less than half a second, I would just stay here forever. I would stay here till it was the last lap or second to last lap, save fuel, and take it easy on the equipment, and just keep reminding Kemp on every corner, I'm here, don't make a mistake. If you make a mistake, your P1 is coming to me.
Yeah, and he might be kind of playing it patient on purpose right now rather than immediately going for a dive overtake, just because they are going to be pitting soon, and he might feel confident in being able to get them maybe on the pit cycle. Overtaking at this track, I mean, there's a lot of opportunities, but as we've seen a time or two, the lanes really kind of come together. We've seen some contact, so maybe no need to push it quite yet. Still only a little past halfway in this event. A little bit further back, looking at Matt Thompson, second place in the Challenger division. Not too awful far behind Mark Cohn, about second 1.7 seconds, kind of fluctuating. But he is, I believe, reeling him in a little bit. So we could have a battle brewing, depending on if that trend continues. But again, that banking transition is so violent for a lot of these guys, and I think they're starting to find a bit more of a standardized line. You saw those guys all kind of follow each other. But even that lane was maybe a little bit more aggressive than it needs to be, and they got to be careful. A lot of those drivers at the bottom of the board, if you look at them, they're down there because of that.
Yeah, and you definitely are right that we saw a little bit better of an angle that time, and it kind of makes me wonder if earlier on when we saw those incidents, that was the line that these drivers were trying to take, and maybe we're just overcooking the entry to get up onto the banking because it's so important to get the power down quickly. They may not have intended to hit it as square as they did, but it just turned out that way because their front end washed out as they were trying to make that transition. But back to fuel saving, we were told, as you'll recall, that there was an error in setting up the session. It was supposed to be a pit stop race, but now they're not so sure. And in the not so sure category, who is in a better position right now, Andre, than Kevin Parrish, running behind Neil Kemp? That gap's never gotten above half a second. If he is saving fuel, I can't imagine being in a better position to make something happen that way. He's not making any moves, not even really showing his nose, just playing it cool right now. And if Kemp needs to get fuel, that could just hand the race to Parrish on fuel save.
That's a good point, and you don't often think about that on road courses. Generally, the only time you think about that is Daytona or Talladega. You don't want to be up front. You don't want to be that guy burning up the fuel, taking the brunt of the air resistance. But, with the straightaways, 3 very long straightaways and a very tight fuel situation, you are dead on. It could just be Kevin Parrish letting Neil Kemp pull him around the track throughout the tow hitch, said, "Thank you, buddy." Or maybe he's going to prove us wrong. It looked like he maybe dove his nose out now. Whether that was for temps to try to cool it down or maybe just to let him know he's there, I don't know. But continuing to ride behind. Taylor Ballant losing a little bit of time. He was 2.5 last time we checked in on him, up to 3.1. He's actually starting to fall to the grips of Super Dave Moore in P4, who's only about 3/10 back of him. So battles for first, battles for second, all over the track. There's Dave Moore just trailing Taylor Ballant, although I guess I'm an idiot. I forgot those gaps are individual to the car, F1 style gaps. Did a couple NASCAR broadcasts, so I'm a little bit rusty there. I thought he was closing it. He is indeed not, but we do have a pass for the lead. There he goes. We switched back just in time to catch that live scenes. Got to the inside just before exiting onto the oval. Now Kevin Parrish is out and away. So, question is, does this mean he's saved enough, or does this mean he's given up on trying to save?
Up here in the commentary booth, one of our many specialties is kind of rank speculation, and I'll go ahead and throw this one out. Oh my goodness! And there it was. Kemp not giving Parrish really any choice right there as he's watching out. Parrish has to go evasive and finds himself in P1. But prior to that happening, I think we saw Parrish showing his nose in a couple spots. Looked like he was thinking about passing. And that could very well mean, Andre, that whatever fuel-saving goal he had as he was shadowing Kemp around the track for the first 25 minutes, he might have made that number and then decided that it was time to go. And that may be part of what we saw right there. Obviously, that particular actual pass was an evasive move, but Parrish had been showing his nose a couple corners prior to that. So he might have made his number. He might be ready to put the hammer down for the remaining 12 minutes.
Yeah, that could be, and it really was no choice for Kevin Parrish. He lifted quite a bit. He definitely didn't want to get caught up in that little mistake that Kemp had made, but we'll go take another look at it on board. You can see how much Kevin Parrish really did not want to be involved in this. Lifts off, big swerve to the left, and around he goes. So really no say in the matter, but like you said, that's going to impact the fuel strategy if it is a factor. Neil Kemp may be glad to be the one getting the tow, but Taylor Ballant is not going to worry about fuel. He's going to come down pit road and just take a splash. A few drivers have done so thus far. I think the majority will. May not be as close as we had been led to believe, but we'll see at the end of this thing. All we know is Taylor Ballant. Now my question is, because we haven't really watched too many cars take their entire stop, are these guys going to take tires? Are they going to get up on the jack stands? If so, which tires do they take? And as he gets down into the stall, I'm not seeing a jack stand go up. It's going to be a fuel-only stop, although quite a lengthy stop. He might have sped. Nope, that is 11.9, so this is not a splash and go, JR. And if it's not a splash and go, either he way overfueled or it is not as positive a fuel outlook as we thought.
Yeah, and I'm beginning to think that is right. That's pretty consistent with a lot of our other drivers who have taken stops. There are a few outliers here and there, but most of them are in the 10 to 11 second area. So I'm not sure how fast fuel goes into these cars, but certainly 10 or 11 seconds worth of fuel may be more than Parrish was able to save. But, speaking of pit stops, man, I'll tell you what, we have all been there. You're staring at a menu of sad, cold corporate sandwiches, and you're thinking, God, there's got to be something better than this. And at Chiba Hut, we have been flipping the bird to the status quo since 1998. We're not just making sandwiches, we are curing the munchies with the dankest toasted subs on the planet. From our signature White Widow to the Cali Mist, every sub is homegrown, toasted to perfection, and served up in a joint where you can actually relax. And if you need to kill that cotton mouth, we've got local craft beers on tap and plenty of Kool-Aid to keep you hydrated. So whether you're stopping in or flying it to your door, we've got exactly what you need to stay stoked. Chiba Hut Toasted Subs. Swing by our shop in your area or order online. Chiba Hut Toasted since 1998.
Yeah, it's a good race when we don't get to the sponsor read till about 30 minutes in. We've had so much to talk about tonight. I mean, there has not been a single break in the action. Just this race really throwing a lot at us to observe and talk about. So it's been fun for sure. As we get down pit road, it is going to be a very close exit between David Fernandez and Jay Bass. And we know that it's Jay Bass because the other blue and pink car had a power outage. So unfortunate for him, fortunate for me to not have to differentiate them and get it wrong every time. Down into the corner, it looks like Jay Bass is going to maybe make a move at it, but that switch back to the right-hand side put him on the outside. And unlike Kevin Parrish, who seems to be the outside lane king, not quite able to make it happen for Jay Bass. And going back to the shakeups, like we talked about, JR, the last points-paying race was won by Jay Bass, and now here he is, P14. He's got 4 challenges ahead of him. Not the best points day in the books, and again, it just kind of stems from these kinds of tracks where you don't really know the layouts, you don't come in prepared. It either works or it doesn't.
Yeah, and Bast had a pretty good move cooking there through that 3, 4, 5 chicane. That's one of the more interesting parts of the track to me, coming off that pit straight. A slight kink in turn 1, then a double left-hander 2 and 3, and then a hard right back to turn 4. And you saw those cars going side by side through there. Thought Bast was going to have something done there, but could not quite do it. So pretty interesting track design right there. I just noticed Jeff Schnackle came into the pits out of, I think, P4. Looks like Gabaldon is in as well, Aaron Bray. So we are getting into the, I guess, usual pit cycle, about 8 minutes remaining. And, of course, our top runners are Parrish from Kemp, from David Moore, Challenger Mark Cohn, Dan Ott. All 5 of those cars have yet to enter the pit. And Ott benefiting from a +8, running in P5, up 8 positions from his qualifying. And we've got some cars coming out of the pits into traffic right now as well. So things getting a little crazy here at Homestead.
It has been a crazy race. Again, just really no time to get through much of anything. We talk about one thing and then the race is throwing us something else. Speaking of happenings, here's a happening. Kevin Parrish and Neil Kemp going to shadow each other coming down pit road. Didn't want to get separated, which maybe not a bad move. Slipstream is going to be important here. So if you pit with somebody, next time you get to one of those long straightaways, you might benefit both from it. There's Dave Moore, Super Dave, coming to get that car serviced. And again, our 2 leaders, I bet you we don't see the jack stand go up. I really thought tire wear was going to be a matter, but these guys do not agree. They're just taking their fuel, getting out. It could be the tires do matter and they want to take as little fuel as possible, but what is that out of Kevin Parrish? Insanely quick stop. That is going to be an 11-1. Most of our pit stops have been in the high 11s. He was brushing doors with the 10-second range, although Jeff Schnackle with an 11-0, Ron Wolf with a 10-3. Some of these guys very optimistic on fueling, taking as little as they possibly can.
Well, and I was watching Parrish and Kemp coming out of the pits. We talked about Parrish being right behind Kemp for the first 20 to 25, 30 minutes of this one, and I wondered if Parrish was saving fuel. Parrish got out of that pit stop 9.6, so he saved a second and a half in the pits by virtue of fuel saving behind Kemp, and laughing all the way to the bank right now. His gap 3 seconds currently as we watch. That's going to be Andres and David Blair, looking like they were thinking about a contested exit out of the pits, and decided, we're fighting for P20. Let's just get back onto the track smooth and fight out there.
Absolutely. And before we get to the end of this crazy race, I do just want to remind the viewers this crazy race has been brought to you in part by Peanut Stuff. Peanut Stuff, you've got the rig, the screens, and the passion. When you're diving into the corkscrew at Laguna Seca, do your pedals feel like a world-class GT3 car or a toy? It's time to upgrade your immersion with Peanut Stuff. We specialize in high-performance sim racing mods designed to give you the trail-breaking precision and throttle control you've been missing. From our legendary DNX and HVD pedal kits to custom spacers and clutch mods, we build gear for racers who demand more than just stock. Whether you're a casual Sunday driver or a daily iRacing grinder, our kits for Fanatec, Simpson, Huskenfeld pedals are engineered to help you find those extra tenths of a second. Stop settling for good enough and start hitting your marks with total confidence. Peanut Stuff sim racing gear, serious mods for serious racers. You can go ahead and visit dnutstuff.com and get your order in. Dial in your rig today. And again, only a few minutes remaining in this race. It has been so topsy-turvy, but Kevin Parrish, I mean, you can't keep the guy down, not having the best year in points, but by goodness, he has got the speed even still. And when he does show up, he shows up.
Yeah, and Parrish laughing all the way to the fuel-saving bank right now. Look at that gap back to Kemp, 3 seconds back to Kemp, and the intervals behind all of them pretty gaudy right now. Schnackle applying some pressure to David Moore for P5, but that is about all the action we have in the top 10, although it looks like Jay Bast has some company in the form of David Fernandez and Matt Thompson trying to push their way up into the top 10. And Schnackle, just as I said that, Schnackle pushes past David Moore. That'll put Jeff Schnackle up into P4. But coming down to crunch time here, it is, what are we looking at? A quick replay. This could be the pass by Schnackle, who makes it happen, takes the long way around, takes the wide route, and makes that look pretty easy. And that's another one of those points where they chose different lines to come out of the infield onto the banking, and Schnackle made taking a little bit of a risk there, get on the power sooner, and get a better run out onto the banking. But take a look at our timing tower, just a couple laps left. It's Parrish from Kemp, from Ballant in Pro. It's Cone from Thompson, from Powell, your challengers, and Andy Bell has run away for the amateurs, and then it's Cossack and Tom Wendt, and those drivers, my gosh, 20 or so seconds back from Bell. So Bell doing his best Sicchetti impersonation right now, running in P17 overall, but that is P1 for the AMs, and we're running about 90-second laps right now. Looks like 2 or 3 laps remaining, depending on where Parrish is the next time where the timer is the next time Parrish comes around. Taking a look again at Mark Cohn, your current leader in the Challenger class. Cohn showed up week in and week out, and you saw his name in the season standings. Cohn putting a very good season together here, and this P7 and P1 in class is certainly going to help his efforts in that regard.
Definitely going to be a big benefit, although it would just be another win and a stack of wins. He's had a phenomenal year, and he is just driving away with the points in Challenger thus far, but still early in the season. Anything can happen. Mark Cohn, very involved in the sim racing community. He is trying to set up events for AMS at numerous sim racing expos, trying to get in-person events, LAN events, just get the word out there about sim racing and about the league. He is incredibly passionate about this, so I guess it's not a surprise that he has gotten as good as he has in such a short amount of time. And of course, hosting that exhibition event last week at Sonoma, that was a fun one. Definitely something a little bit different from what these guys are used to, but 39 minutes, 11 seconds. I believe he is going to get to the stripe before it rolls over, so there should be one more after this. But for him, it's just going to be a bit of a parade lap. 3 seconds is the gap to Neil Kemp, who again led about 20 or 30 minutes of this race, only to make one minor mistake and have to pay for it as the clock wound down. Taylor Ballant not too far behind him, about a second back, a little bit closer as he dives into the corner. Then you got Jeff Schnackle, Dave Moore still battling for position. Jeff Schnackle just took it back, and then right here, that is Super Dave Moore taking one from Schnackle right around the bottom groove. Kind of scared Schnackle up into the grass, pressed square to intimidate, and away he went.
Oh, and in the same spot too. I think that's is exactly the same move we saw last time, but in reverse. And here is a tight fight. That's Gazenda from Santinelli from Andy Bell. That is a tight battle for P15. And meanwhile, up front, can't forget the winner, Kevin Parrish, who absolutely made the fuel save work like an absolute champ, drove away after the pit stop, and is going to win this one by a 3-second gap. Here comes Kemp and Ballant. And I'm keeping an eye as well. I want to see if Freddie Weaver is able to hang on to his P3 in Challengers. And here they come, a little group of cars there, including Weaver and Powell. Oh no, they're coming onto the oval right now. But Dream Weaver is plus 17, Andre, plus 17 to have that last step on the Challenger podium. Looks like he's going to hang on. I had been watching that interval. Powell was all over him, but Weaver able to hang on to that P3 in class. So great drive by him. Looks like Bell has come across. So here's Santinelli sputtering. And he may need to get out and push here. It is quite a ways around. So Santinelli may have the pooch some flowers here. He had 10.5 seconds in the pits. May have been about a second too long. And a crash down the stretch. That is Brennan and somebody. Okay. We'll take another look at that. And here comes Brennan using his superpowers to punt that 84 car, Shazam. And he's going to have a trip to the steward's office after that. Here it is from Brennan's standpoint. Bang. The invisible number 34 of Chuck Labano just goes for a rude ride. And Parrish is so sick of that car, he's destroyed it, engine smoking. And it looks like we have about got everybody across the line. I imagine, not sure who that is doing donut. Oh, that's Parrish. So, yeah, Parrish painting the start-finish line right now with what's left of the tires on that Mustang. But Parrish definitely made the fuel save work, saw that coming, hung behind Neil Kemp for 35, 40 minutes until it was time to go. And he made up a huge amount of time in the pits by virtue of that fuel save. But let's take a look outside. Nobody has stopped by to chat with us just yet, so we'll go have your results up for you, and when we get through those, we'll bring in a couple drivers and hear what they thought about the race tonight.
There is your post-race results. Kevin Parrish driving away with it at the end there. Took him a while to get up front, but once he got there, he never looked back. Neil Kemp, P2. It's not the win he was looking for, but it's a great shift in momentum towards the front of the field for that driver. Taylor Blount, P3. David Moore, Super Dave, getting, I think, a season-best P4. Jeff Schnackle, P5. Ron Wolf going to be P6. Mark Cohn wins the Challenger Division. Dehano toot himself P8. Jay Bass going to bring it up to 9th. David Fernandez rounding out the top 10. We'll let you scroll through the rest of those on your own to the viewer at home. We got some interviews we got to try to get through so that our producer can get on a plane.
Yeah, and well, this may be a little quicker than we thought. And of course, shout out to Andy Bell taking advantage of Cicchetti's woes and getting his first win. I know that that group has been tired of seeing Cicchetti kick their ass week in and week out. And Cicchetti finally having a problem here. And looking up, I am not seeing anybody yet in the green room. So Josh, let's go ahead and spin up our upcoming presentations here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. And folks, while you're watching this on your TV, on your phone, on your tablet, go ahead and subscribe to Slow Motion Broadcasting. Hit that notification icon so that you don't miss any of the action. And the action starts tomorrow night. Sim Racers Group Formula 3 will fight it out in Mexico City. That one is going to be Fantastic. Saturday, Weekend Warriors Formula V's will visit Olton Park. That is always a good one. And on Sunday, we have got nonstop action all day, beginning with our Weekend Warrior double feature. Formula Fords at Navarra, Spec Racer Fords at Green Hell, and also XSLR will run GT3s at Spa 1 week from tonight. AMS will be running at Zandvoort. And Andre, you talked about tires. Zandvoort is going to work the tires over on these Mustangs like a red-headed mule. But looks like we do have somebody here. And yeah, looks like we have got Kevin Parrish. Kevin, I've just got one question for you. What happens if you draft the guy in front of you for 40 minutes and then stop for fuel? What's going to happen in the pit stop? You copy me, Kevin? Yeah, Kevin not speaking, not sure if he's hearing me. I'll just speak for him, and he'll say, well, JR, obviously what happens is you save a bunch of fuel and spend a lot less time getting gas in the pits, and that's what I was laughing about when I drove down the pit exit and had immediately a 3-second gap and won the race. Okay, well, that was kind of what I was figuring. That was the answer that I was looking for, so well answered. Kevin?
I am here now. My apologies.
I already asked the question that I wanted and got a great answer, but just tell us a little bit about how you use fuel save to completely whip Kemp down the stretch there. He didn't have a chance.
Yeah, I kind of bobbled in qualifying, so I figured I'd take advantage of being behind a couple cars in those early laps and just kind of pick my spots strategically when I had the opportunity to pass, and kind of gave me a little bit of a buffer on the fuel too.
Well, and not only that, I mean, it sure looked like you were intentionally hanging behind Kemp in order to save fuel, and it paid off. I don't know if you had the numbers in front of you while you were driving, but Kemp's stationary time in the pits was 11.1. Yours was 9.6. So you beat him in the pits by 1.5 seconds due to better fuel economy, at least in part. So really kind of knocked him down and made it so that he didn't have any chance. So fantastic drive, Kevin, up 4, by the way, for those of you keeping track at home. So he didn't just pull off that great fuel save. He also had some legit moves to get himself in position to do that. So excellent drive, Kevin. And as we wrap up, is there anyone you'd like to thank or give a shout out to today?
Shout out to my dad. He's sitting and spectating every race, so big shout out to him. And yeah, great to come back with another win.
Yeah, excellent, man. Well, great job, Kevin, and we will see you next week at Zandvoort.
Sounds amazing.
All right, that was your winner, Kevin Parrish. And yeah, looks like Josh has corralled Andy Bell for you, Andre.
Mr. Bell, you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, Andy, that was quite an interesting race. I think this track kind of threw a lot of guys for a loop, and your rival in the points was definitely one of them, getting caught up in a kind of self-made mistake. You were able to capitalize on that, get a division win, and more importantly, you have closed in a ton in points. It has been a great weekend for you. Tell me a little bit about it.
Well, that's great news. I just thought I should keep it on track this time, and that seemed to go well. I don't know everyone else's mistakes, but it looks like I made fewer than others. But yeah, it was a great race. First time at this track, definitely put in a little bit of practice, and like I said, kept it on track the best I could, and only made a few mistakes. I'll take it.
Yes, sir. Well, again, congratulations on a division win. Before we let you go celebrate that, is there any shout-outs you'd like to make?
Oh, I know my family's watching, so shout out to my mom, shout out to my brother, and overall, just shout out to you guys doing the slow motion broadcasting. I always enjoy watching the broadcast after the race. And Ed and Mike continuing the series, and all the guys in AMS are just such a blast doing this, and glad to be a part of it. And obviously couldn't do it without all of you. So thanks to everyone.
All right. Well, thank you for your time, and again, congratulations.
Thank you. Have a great night.
All right, and that was Andy Bell, your amateur leader. We'll go ahead and bring in Mark Cohn. Mr. Cohn, another day, another victory for you, P7 overall, but more importantly, P1 in class. So you are the human metronome out there. You moved up 0 positions to finish P7 after qualifying in P7. You kept out of trouble and had an incident-free race, which really goes a long way around here, especially at a track like this.
Yeah, I guess those 7s are lucky because I definitely needed that Homestead. This track has been me so many times. It feels very good to finally get one. Who knew it that I just had to go to the road course for it, right?
Yeah, too right. And looking ahead at Zandvoort, have you had a chance to do laps out there? And how do you think the tires on these Mustangs are going to tolerate the grind in the Netherlands?
Well, I joke with my team all the time that anytime that there's a track that you have to grind the tires at, it's going to be a Tire Fryer 1000. So definitely going to have to make sure not to be on that lead foot too much and hope and pray that they hold on the whole race.
All right, fair enough. Well, congratulations again, Mark, on a great drive. And as we wrap up, is there anyone you'd like to thank or give a shout out to tonight?
Yeah, all you guys at Slow Motion Broadcasting, love watching these races back and all that you do. Ed and Mike, everyone at the American Muscle Series, Team Frito Sport. I have to give a shout out to Matt Thompson because without his setups, I wouldn't be anywhere near this. So thank you, Matt, for all that you do, and nice job on that 2nd place finish in Challenger class. Sim Gaming Expo. It's going to be September 18th through 20th, right around Chicago. If you love simulation gaming, if you love sim racing, do not miss it. Sim Lab, Nizumi Studios, DeWars Candies and Fine Chews, Yaza Sandwiches and more, TW3 Liveries. This Biffle tribute paint scheme is absolutely fantastic. I really wanted to be like Biff this season, and so far it's been absolutely unreal. Sam Maxwell Customs. I'm sure there's a few people I'm forgetting, but just thank you to everyone that makes this all possible. This is amazing.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Mark. Thanks for stopping by, and we look forward to seeing you race next week at Zandvoort.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Well, that is going to wrap it up, folks. Thank you so much for joining us. I am J.R. Gregory. On behalf of myself, my partner, Grandbouche, our producer, Joshua Wilkie, and everyone here at SMB, thank you so much for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your day wherever you are, and we'll see you back here real soon.